conversation piece or topic for today would be this mythical philosophy of zero trust. And I'm going to put Ray on the spot right away to give us his perspective on this, because it's such a big topic. It's we've been talking about this probably 5-6 years now. So I do think it's important to, instead of having this thing that's out there, let's try to describe it a little bit and quantify what it means a little bit.
I like the way you say mythical philosophy.
Yes, I know. I know.
We could probably find something. This goes back thousands of years if you really do some digging. But yeah, it's interesting. My take on this is actually something I do in my personal life. So we talk a lot about zero trust, cybersecurity and frameworks. CISO has a framework and NIST has a framework. That's great. But I think the importance of it for me personally is, if we look at ransomware, it typically results in a data breach. Yes, the ransoms are paid and data's leaked, and it's leaked out. And zero trust is one of those things, not just one thing, but one of those frameworks to help mitigate that. But going back to the personal element, if there's an organization that has my data and they have a ransomware attack, that's my personal data, it's your personal data that's 100%. Out there. So I almost take this, and zero trust has the phrase, always assume a breach. Never trust, always verify. So as much as it drives my wife insane, I do that in my personal life as well. And that's another rabbit hole we could go down. But there is a very important factor, which it does affect the privacy of us as individuals. And I think that needs to be considered too. I'll let you...
You nailed it. Like the key thing that stuck out there was never trust, always verify.
Yeah.
Right. So as a security industry, we've historically used the phrase trust but verify. Right. We'll trust it but we'll verify it. And then we learned over the years that we're great at trusting stuff but not so great at verifying it. And I think that's kind of how zero trust sort of spawned. And the answer is right there in the word, is that we're not trusting anything. Right. We're constantly verifying stuff, and that verification can happen either invisible to an end user in the back end, or it can be visible to the user and they have to interface with something and prove something. For me, I'm glad you went first, Ray, because it gave me a few seconds to think. But the funny thing that I've learned is if we back it up a little bit and we just get rid of the word zero and we talk about trust. Right. What is trust? And you talked about like social engineering and the thing for me is that I've learned in my role that trust means different things to different people.
Does.
Right? If you talk about trust to maybe a cybersecurity person, they might think social engineering and exploiting trust between humans, right? There's a human element. Mm-hmm. If I say trust to our Windows Server team, they're going to think domain trust.
Yeah, right.
Trust between these groups. If I say trust with our senior leadership, they think collaboration. Mm-hmm. And how can we as teams, trust each other and work together. So zero trust is something that is coming up more and more, like where I work. One of the things that's driving it is I'll say buzzword bingo. People, someone goes to a conference, they come back and they go, Michael, what are you doing about zero trust? And I'm like, we've been doing zero trust in some areas.
You mean you haven't just installed a appliance that says zero trust on it and turned it on?
That's exactly I was going to say this at the end is, can we not just go and buy the zero trust product and just put it in, guys?
We did with firewalls and AV. And
just go, there's a zero trust box and it's mythical, right? Yeah. But that's one of the things that we have to talk to our leadership about. It's not a product, it's not a thing you buy, it's a way that you do things, and it does represent quite a bit of a shift into how we're doing things now. And if I want to get a little technical for a second, like where this really throws things for a loop is when we go back to our talk about the firewalls and the network, right? How much of the design is based on trusting source networks and trusting source IP addresses. And as soon as I throw a discussion out there that says, well, actually, what if we just had this service open to every network on the planet, but we had all these other controls in place that didn't actually trust anything, and we verified our devices, we verified our users, and we used a model like that, and people would kind of go, wait, what? Like, you want to take the firewall out? I'm like, no, we're putting more restrictions in place to continue to verify it. But whether you're coming from a Starbucks Wi-Fi, or you want to access it from McDonald's Wi-Fi, or from your LTE network, or from North Carolina, or from the university network, that it gets people to start thinking about this different way of doing stuff.
Well, and again, what I heard there is it's not putting all your eggs in one basket, and you have verifying the user, verifying the device. Doesn't matter what network you're on, but then maybe when you're in you're in your own home environment, if you will, you're university, then you have another layer of protection there. It's combining all these together. Absolutely. And that's why I think the industry didn't do itself any favors about 3 or 4 years ago, because some vendors came out and were like, hey, we have zero trust. Yep. And it made it sound like, oh, you buy my product, my solution, my module, and now I got it done. It's over with. You know what? I'm the guy who can go everywhere. I got zero trust. And I think that confused a lot of people for a while. So I think this was a great conversation piece to make sure we level set on, it is a philosophy. It's not something you're going to implement overnight. It's going to take some time. But the point is, we should be on I'll ask this. I believe we should be on a journey to, trust nobody, verify everything, least privilege comes in. So I think that's kind of where we're all saying we should be.
Add to that,
sure.
Trust nobody, and apps don't trust the app necessarily.
Right.
Don't trust the network, don't trust the data.
It's a great thing. As digressing a tiny bit, but I used to say about 10, 15 years ago, it seemed like the internet got stagnant. There was nothing after the web came out. It was really stagnant. But then really where the revolution came is all phones and all the apps, to your point. So, hey, it's really great. I downloaded the Starbucks app because I put money on there. I get double the points when I go and buy my sandwich. What is the Starbucks app actually doing in the background? How do I know what it's doing? And that's exactly what you're saying. So I think it's a great point, is how to, and I guess to me this is a bigger topic, a whole nother topic, is as an average ordinary user, how do I address that on my phone?
It's funny, I was talking to my Uber driver about that this morning.
You get the Uber driver very interested.
I'm sure the Uber driver.
He loved it.
Yeah, I bet he did. I had
a captive audience there.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's funny you say that. So
I think that's even a larger topic. Did you have a final word?
I took my phone off. I'll show something that I learned. Right?
Okay.
We often talk about the perimeter. Right? Where's the perimeter, and that's where the trust ends. And I'll do what someone else did once. They took their phone out and they said, with phones, the perimeter's right here.
Yeah.
This is the perimeter now.
It's changed.
And that got me thinking. I was like, oh yeah, how do we change our technologies, our processes, our approach when 100%. The perimeter is not where our border routers sit, and
it used to be so easy back in the day.
Passing data into literal other networks. Now the perimeter's here. Right?
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Yeah, it's totally changed. The perimeter, the line is gone. It used to be so cut and dry. Anything, you could have multiple firewalls, but the enterprise firewall at the end, the edge, that used to be your perimeter. Yeah. That's gone now. You're right. That device, your laptops, anything you're going back to corporate resources, the perimeter is everywhere. So.